We want to get right to our top story. The U.S. assault on Fallujah. This morning, American troops are driving towards the heart of the Iraqi city. Army and Marine units began the push early today, moving on two fronts from the north, assisted by Iraqi soldiers. This after an overnight barrage of artillery and airstrikes against the rebel forces. CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer was with the Marines during the night's firefight and filed this report.
The Marines couldn't see who was firing mortars at them from the edge of Fallujah, but they knew exactly where they were and were determined to destroy the position, a house and courtyard complex, first with their own mortars, then a barrage of heavy artillery backed up by fire from U.S. Army tanks hammered the target. Phosphorus shells lit up the sky. Their deadly fallout will burn through anything it touches.
The city of Fallujah has been under heavy bombardment all night from the ground and the air, and this morning a heavy cloud of smoke is hanging over the city.
So far, the Marines say they are pleased with the progress.
He's a smart enemy. He's shown some discipline, and he's fighting, and he's committed, and that's honorable because he's got a cause that he believes in, and that's why he's so determined. But he won't win.
That notion of a tough fight ahead was echoed in Washington by the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld.
Listen, these folks are determined. These are killers. They chop people's heads off. They're getting money from around the world.
As the sun rose on the edge of Fallujah, a family emerged with its flock of sheep. The children appeared unfazed by the ferocity of last night's attack. But now, in the bright morning light, this little boy says he knows what it was all about. They were dropping bombs on the terrorists, he says. And they are continuing to drop bombs. This morning we can see for the first time a B-52 bomber circling over the city, and we've just seen a tremendous explosion from what appeared to be a 2,000-pound bomb. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News with the Marines near Fallujah.
What's it like inside Fallujah as the battle rages on? CBS News reporter Kirk Spitzer is embedded with U.S. Special Forces who fought in the heart of the city. He filed this video phone report.
American commanders are reporting better than expected progress in the battle for Fallujah this morning. More than 10,000 American Marines and soldiers are besieging the city from the northern and eastern sides. And American troops have actually progressed below the east-west highway that bisects the city, which was one of the early objectives of this campaign. Fighting has been heavy from time to time, according to commanders, but some of the heaviest fighting actually took place early yesterday on the western side of the city, where Marines and U.S. Special Forces traded heavy fire across the Euphrates River with insurgents who were dug into fortified houses and commercial buildings on the eastern side of the river. American helicopters and warplanes swooped in, dropping bombs and shooting rockets. There was tremendous devastation. But the luck for some of the casualties on the American side were reported low. It's not clear what the casualty levels were on the insurgent side. This is Kirk Spitzer for CBS News, Fallujah.
American and Iraqi forces are moving deeper into Fallujah this morning, despite intense gunfire from insurgents currently holding the city. Retired Army Colonel Mitch Mitchell is a CBS News military analyst. Colonel Mitchell, good morning.
Good morning, Renee.
Give me your assessment of the last 24 hours or so, what you've seen.
Well, I think our troops, both the Army and the Marines, have had great success. They've been able to move across the east-west highway, as reported on an earlier piece on your show, and that means that they've accomplished their first day's objective and then some. Even though some of them feel they're moving a bit cautiously, it looks like success, but not without stiff pockets of resistance.
And you mentioned moving cautiously. That's something they certainly have to do, given the reports of booby-trapped buildings, car bombs, and the like. How concerned are you about that something like that could take out large numbers of troops at one time?
They're not going to take out large numbers of troops because of the way they deploy in urban fighting. They're going to be spread out, so large numbers will not mass anywhere where they'd be subjected to an attack like that. However, the individual casualties could mount up if we run into a lot of booby traps and mines and the improvised explosive devices. And of course, there's always the snipers. When you fight in urban terrain, you have a different way of looking at 3 dimensions. You look up, down, sideways, every which way, because the enemy could be anywhere.
Colonel Mitchell, a colonel on the ground there was quoted as saying, "They will win if it's bloody. We will win if we minimize casualties." Does that change the way soldiers fight this battle as they go door to door and street by street?
Not when they're facing the insurgent fighters or the foreign fighters, but when they're dealing with the about 50,000 civilians that they have in the town right there, yes, that makes a big difference. We can't get the people involved in this battle any more than absolutely necessary, and they're all around us. And so the rules of engagement are so difficult for our forces, and I think they're doing an excellent job. But the people of Fallujah need to understand that if they are in harm's way, they are subject to being shot because we're going after the enemy.
How long do you think it'll take before U.S. forces have firm control of Fallujah?
I'd say it's still going to be less than a week before we've accomplished the objectives in there, but that doesn't mean there aren't going to be some pockets of resistance that will stay alive for at least another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. But in a week, we'll have done the majority of the work.
And is it a chance in the last 15 seconds that resistance will just fade away, as some people have said?
Well, some of that's already occurring. Some people are not going to stand and fight to the death, and they're going to live to fight another day, and that's a big concern for us. But I think those who stand to fight are going to die in place.
Colonel Mitch Mitchell, as always, we thank you for your time this morning and your assessment. Thanks.